Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So finally, Hulk buff is not only live but also appears to be fixed. So in this video we're going to be taking a look at how Hulk looked before, and in this specific case, because Hulk does have a fairly different damage output based on his health, instead of taking a look at his damage output with and without synergy teams pre and post buff, we're going to be taking a look at his damage output with high health and with low health pre and post buff. And realistically, I don't think that in either case, again, in majority of the relevant game modes, we're going to be dedicating full synergy teams for Hulk, or we're doing so in the first place. Although pre-buff Hulk did have basically an opportunity to do an infinite stun loop in some specific conditions, in some specific instances with a full synergy team, which, could have been quite useful. I do remember benefiting from it myself in variant 2, I believe, or 3, the one that's XL one. You could do some fun stuff there with Hulk. Either way, let's get to it. So pre-buff Hulk obviously basically has no abilities, and realistically post-buff Hulk also doesn't have many abilities, because everything that has been given to Hulk, with an exception of degeneration resistance, which is, extremely situational, he does effectively the same thing, with only thing being changed is the way how he achieves it. Previously, he had a Fury buff that increases his damage output. He starts hitting harder at low health, and he has very, very high probability stands on all of his special attacks. And that's just about it. After the buff, he basically does the same thing, except now that he has the degen resistance, and he has access to debuffs that boost his damage, because now, instead of having active Fury buffs, he has passives, so there's no major change there. But then on top of it, after the buff, we're going to see that he has access to trauma, I believe, and also physical vulnerability, which both serve for no other purpose than to increase his damage. And here we can see that this is how Hulk chugs along as a rank 3 6-star pre-buff. There are no big numbers. Here we can see he's critting for like 3k on mediums, 2k on lights, and that's about it. And I will be fast forwarding through this bit, because obviously it does take a while. It really, really does take a while. And as we can see, the stuns are nice. You can chain in a lot of combos, but that's all there is to it. And it is a lot of hits to get down to Winter Soldier. Obviously, there is a class disadvantage still, but, it's 4 minutes and 51, 319 hits to take down that Winter Soldier. So 451, nearly 5 minutes. That's not the worst. We have had some champions take over 6 and 7 minutes, but it's definitely not the best. Now at 25% health, obviously the results are going to be quite significantly better though. We can see that that 3k crit has been replaced by 5k crit, now that we do have that second Fury, I believe, which is activated when dipping below 25% health. We had even higher damage output for a moment, but the point is now he procs his Fury more actively, and even without that Fury, he's doing more damage than he was before. And when that Fury is active, he has, fairly noticeably bigger damage. But let's be realistic here. Even at a low health, that damage output is nothing. It's not viable for 2023 in MCOC, and he would be considered a low damage output champion even at a low health. And that will obviously be basically proven here in just a second, once we do finish that fight. And here we go. And this is also a fight, obviously, without baiting out any special attacks or worrying about level 3. It's just if he throws, if Winter Soldier manages to throw a special attack, then he does. But in general, this is about as quickly as you can expect it. But we can see that it almost halved the fight time. Went down by about, what? Significant margin. So from nearly 5 minutes, it went down to 238, 181 hits. Significantly better. So previously Hulk definitely had a very, very major difference in his damage, whether you played him at a high or a low health. So then we updated the game. Obviously initially he was busted. Also, just as a reference, my 6-star Hulk is rank 3 Sig 100. And now let's take a look at how he is going to behave. Come on, we are loading there. Still loading screen. Here we go. So now the buffed Hulk, as I said before, instead of having active fury buffs, has passive furies. You can go up to 15 of these. And once you reach 15, you enter your rage mode, which gives you effectively about 30 seconds of pure damage carnage or something like that. Is it 30 or 20 seconds? Something like that. And here, level 2 inflicts a lot of trauma. Here I did make a mistake, get clapped a little bit, but it didn't disturb me too much. You drop your level 1. Now, every time you would gain a fury, you inflict a physical vulnerability debuff on the Winter Soldier instead. And as we can see, they are stacking up here. And now Hulk is just kind of laying in that Winter Soldier. And in this one single cycle, he has already at this point taken down half of Winter Soldier's health, which would be more than most of the fights, let's say, in Battlegrounds or Alliance Wars. So that is a very reassuring sign there, that where basically the only thing you really have to do in order to nuke somebody down is build up to your level 2, drop that, and then activate your level 1, and you're pretty much good to go. Now, obviously, Winter Soldier is 37% health, and we do need to finish out the fight, so you do need to rebuild back up to 15 Furies in order to re-enter your Rage. You can enter Rage earlier by dropping a heavy attack, but obviously that would mean as well that you are basically getting less damage for it. So here we're gonna go, drop that. Nice 38k crit with 28k extra damage, so it was like over 50k damage. Physical vulnerabilities are stacking nicely, and that Winter Soldier is going to be dead to rights, completely stunned. And that stun part is also quite important. So now it was 1 minute 45, 129 hits with class disadvantage, starting full health. So the damage output has definitely increased significantly. However, there's also a very important aspect to Hulk. It's not necessarily his overall fight damage now, it's his fight damage in that one rotation. Whether that will be enough to kind of like nuke down majority of the opponents. And later on, we're also going to have to take a look how he behaves when opponents have max limber, because having opponents stunned and being able to wail at them is obviously a very, very big part of the Hulk's kit. And now here we can see that Hulk, starting with low health, is obviously building up his furies even quicker and building up his physical vulnerabilities even quicker. So here at this point, dropping his level 1, you can see that Winter Soldier is definitely going down even faster than he did before, because Hulk still has those mechanics where he does get more damage when he's at low health. His abilities activate more frequently because gaining his furies and everything else is still RNG based. It's a very high probability, but it is still RNG. And here we can see that after the end of the first loop, that Winter Soldier was down already at 22%. So here I'm just going to drop a nice level 2, which also did quite significant amount of damage. But what I should have done here is just enter my Rage flat out, and that would have probably finished fight even slightly faster. But this next level 2 does the job. And now the fight time is, let's take a look at that. Where's our fight time? 118.93. So it's not that big of a difference as it used to be compared to him high health and low health, but he still definitely better performs at low health. And here I wanted to check this fight without class disadvantage, and I wanted to see how far his reach is going to go. So I'm just going to quickly fast forward to the build up. And here we have nice level 2 again. Unfortunately, that didn't crit, but we are basically in business here. And this time around, we are not suffering from class disadvantage in the fight. And as soon as we get to that level 1, unfortunately at this point we only had 9 Furies active, but we do have those 17, 18, 19 physical vulnerabilities now that are definitely boosting up our damage output as well. And with a single rotation, we can see that Captain Marvel Classic is going to be down to how much health she will have remaining? 30%-ish. I'm sure that, you know, with boosts and or different mastery setup, you can nuke down a Realm of Legends health pool within like a single set of Rage or single, you know, Rage trigger. And at this point, he's back already up at like 11, 13, 14 passive Furies. Captain Marvel is at 10% health. There's just a bit left to finish. And therefore, by extension, I wanted to see how he would do with class advantage. So going in another fight. It's important to note that all of Hulk's health loss abilities basically max out at 20%. So when you're at 20%, you have maximum attack bonus, maximum degen resistance, maximum damage bonus, I believe. And also maximum ability to trigger your furies. So here we are entering rage now, getting in those 14 traumas. Now I just need to get to my level 1. And then we're going to see what happens to that Juggernaut. So here we go, level 1, nice. 14k crit, not too shabby. Plenty of physical vulnerabilities there as well. And let's keep on nuking at him, duking at him. Let's go for another stun. We are at this point 14 traumas, 20 max physical vulnerability. And we are still in the first set of rage, and the Juggernaut is still spent the entire time stunned, basically. So we just finished this 12%, basically, or 3%, depending how you look at it. So at this point already, a rank 3 Hulk pretty much nuked down that Juggernaut in one rage cycle. Also, a few things, important things, is how that fight would look like in Battlegrounds similar-ish scenarios. So this Deadpool's health is about 164k, which represents kind of like a moderate Battlegrounds health pool. It would be like a medium to lower health pool champion at the rank 4, I think, or rank 3 maybe, in Battlegrounds. But this is a rank 3 Hulk as well. And obviously the same starting kind of like point of the fight remains. You want to build up to your 15 passive furies to enter rage and drop your level 2 in order to access basically that 70 or 75% damage boost that you get with your trauma debuffs. If you have 15 of them, it's 75% extra damage. And now you can see that you will have much room left over, because I just dropped my first level 1 with that long stun, and the fight is basically over. So he should be able to nuke down any Battleground-sized health pool. And then I wanted to see how he's going to interact with Max Limber, so I picked my 5-star rank 3 against the Thing. And the problem with that was that when I got to my level 2, right here, the Man-Thing was already down to 36%. So by the time I'm going to activate my first level 1, the stun duration does look very good. It really does, but we can't really see how well it would maintain and how much you could get in. So I had to downgrade the 5-star rank 3 in this instance to 4-star rank 4. So here we are using a 4-star rank 4 Hulk against a rank 4 Man-Thing. So this is a rank 4 Man-Thing 6-star against a rank 4 4-star buffed version of Hulk. And here we can see one of the things that can kind of annoy me, because the rate that he gets his fury is still quite RNG dependent, and there will be instances and times when you basically do not get 15 passive furies before you reach 3 bars of power, and that can be annoying. That's also the reason why in this instance through my level 1, because I noticed that I hadn't gained as many furies as I would have hoped for. So basically through my level 1 just to dump a bit of power and to make sure that I'm at about 2 bars of power when I enter rage. And that is going to be definitely one of those bits where it can make or break a fight, kind of pending on RNG. If you have played She-Hulk, you will know the feeling where you spend 50 hits and get like no passive furies, and you know, the fight doesn't go great. But here we're going to see that this level 2, now we have the level 1, the stun is plenty long. The first one still lets us get in basically 3 combos, and the second stun, well, the second stun doesn't count, but the second stun would still also definitely let us get in like probably combo, well, maybe 2 combos. That being said, it seems that he can deal with Limber quite decently well, because I think Limber only affects the base stun duration, which would be the 4-second one, but then the increase of 4 seconds of that stun when you are in rage is not affected by Limber, which means that the stun isn't as short as you would necessarily think against champions running Max Limber. And that is the new buffed Hulk. Needless to say, I am quite happy and excited about the buff. I do think he's going to work very well. I wouldn't be surprised at all if I end up taking him to rank 4 in the near future. Obviously, there is more testing to be done. It also will depend on the nodes in the next season of Battlegrounds, how the metas are going to look like and all that other stuff. But I do quite like that buff. It's simple, it's straightforward, it's not complicated. He doesn't really do too much aside from damage. He has poison immunity, he has some degen resistance, and access to a ton of debuffs. That is it. Doesn't have access to any specific utility, no, petrifies, no slows, no miss mechanic, bypass, no evade bypass, none of that stuff. It's very, very simple damage dealing champion. And I think we're at the moment in the place where that can be enough. If he works in enough matchups where it's needed, if he is fast enough for Battlegrounds or safe enough for Alliance War, that's pretty much all that's needed of champion these days. Well, the bare minimum at the very least. What I'm trying to say is the lack of utility is not necessarily a deal breaker for a champion right now because of the way the game is focusing around Battlegrounds for many, casual questing, and you just need quick nuke options there or Alliance Wars and things like that. So let me know what you guys think. I think the buff is quite cool. I like him a lot. I'm happy that I have him at rank 3. Quite possibly will take him to rank 4. And yeah, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions. See you soon, guys. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about